disappearing. He calls himself a delicatessen Jew. What the hell is this? We cling to our traditions for thousands of years. We come this close to being wiped out here in Poland, the great center of Yiddish culture. And all he can talk about is corned beef and pastrami? I have met other American Jews like him who say they are not religious. This is nonsense, of course. These cultural Jews, they think they can pick and choose, like identity is a pizza, and they can choose the toppings. But religion is part of the whole self of a person. If you do not explore this part of yourself, it is like you are not using one of your limbs. Like you are going through life with one arm tied behind your back. He asked me how anybody can believe in God after the Holocaust. How anybody can believe the Jews are the chosen people after the Holocaust. These are not easy questions. But he is a Jew who knows only affluence. God, for him and his kind, is like the genie and is magic. God gives, God performs miracles. But the God of the Old Testament is awful. In the original sense of the word, the God of the Old Testament inspires awe. Sometimes what happens in the Old Testament is truly awful. Yahweh commands Saul to kill all of the Amalekites, including the women and children. This is not magic. This is not Hollywood. This is not a feel-good God. He told me his family come from Poland, from Opole. But he has not even bothered to visit this place to learn its history. Instead, he wants to write an article about us, about Polish Jews today. This is the special talent of Americans, to talk and write about things they know nothing about. I could do him a favor. I could take pity on him and say no to the interview. But I say yes. The result will probably be awful, but maybe he will learn something. You've been to Kazimierz Dolny? I asked him after the interview was over. It is located in Galicia, where many Jews lived before World War II. I don't have much time left here in Poland, he says. I have a busy schedule. Is it far away? You want to write an article about Polish Jews, you must go to Kazimierz Dolny. We go tomorrow. He hesitates. I can only go tomorrow, I tell him. This is not true. But for the moment, he is my chosen person. So he must pass certain tests. The next day, on the trip to Kazimierz Dolny, I tell him stories about King Kazimierz, who ruled during Poland's golden age of tolerance. Jews are being persecuted all over medieval Europe. It is the time of the Black Death. And the Christians, of course, they blame the Jews, accuse them of poisoning the wells, even though the Jews are dying too. But Kazimierz, he welcomes the Jews to Poland. He even has a Jewish mistress, Esterka, and he built a tunnel to his castle so she can secretly share his bed. In Kazimierz Dolny, I show him the synagogue, which has become a cinema. I show him the low wooden buildings. I show him the cobblestone streets. I tell him about the shtetl life of his grandfather. We eat, we talk, and then, like the genie and his magic, I announce, now we go to Opole, where your grandfather was born. But I look on the map, he says. Opole, it is not located anywhere near here. There are two Opoles, Big Opole and Little Opole. You come from Little Opole. I am happy to see the surprise in his face and a little spark of fear. There is nothing to see in Opole. It is dusty and dirty. There is no magic there. It is not a Chagall painting with lots of pretty colors and a bearded violinist floating in the air. I want him to see what is not there. And I want him to see one more thing. I asked the taxi driver. He said, yes, there is a Jewish cemetery nearby. The American, he looked at his watch. He is in a hurry to get back to Warsaw. Do we have time? He asks. Yes, we have time. We drive out of the town. We drive on a dirt road. We leave the dirt road. We drive between a forest and a field. The tall grass, it brushes against the side of the taxi. It is getting dark. The taxi driver, he tells us about the game he played as a child in the cemetery. It is located in the forest, and it is very beautiful, and he cannot find it. We drive, and we drive, and we drive. And the American, he looked at his watch more than once. And then suddenly, there they are, the few white teeth in the mouth of the forest. And the taxi driver, he jumped out of the car. He ran from tree to tree. He tell us about the game he played as a child, Home Army versus the Nazis. The headstones, they are not lined up. They are scattered between the trees and the underbrush. Some lean forward, some lean backward, some have been knocked over. And they all have crosses on them. I point this out to the taxi driver. Don't Jews also put crosses on their headstones, he says. He has probably never met a Jew in his life. We are as far away as Africans. On the way back to the taxi, the American, he bent down. I think maybe he hurt his ankle. But no, he stand up and he is holding something. He showed it to me. It is a small marble fragment. And it has a Hebrew letter on it. In the fading light, We walk around bent over, and we find many small fragments. They are the size of seashells. I hold one up to the ear of the American. I want him to hear the silence. I want him to feel awful.
I had a chance to interview Marek Edelman, the last survivor of the ghetto uprising of 1943. Edelman was one of the Jews of Warsaw who took up arms to fight the Nazis in a largely hopeless struggle. He escaped the destruction of the ghetto by tunneling out of Warsaw in a sewage pipe. And then, unbelievably, he returned to the city to fight in the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. After that uprising also failed, he continued to fight in the Home Army. After the war, he became a doctor. And in 1980, he joined Solidarity and became one of its leaders. If there is one person who epitomizes the struggles of Poles in the 20th century, it is Marek Edelman. It is a great honor to interview him. Edelman insists on being interviewed in Polish, and I am told he does not suffer fools gladly. My Polish stinks, and the man has suffered enough already. I get cold feet. I don't feel like a journalist. I feel like someone pretending to be a journalist. I turn down the interview. And then there's the party at the apartment of Andrzej, who arranged the interview in the first place. And I don't go. I'm tired that night. I don't feel like mingling with people I don't know. The next morning, Andrzej calls me up, asks me why I didn't show up at his party the night before to meet all the leading members of the Polish opposition. Jacek Kuron, Adam Michnik, Marek Edelman. Jesus, what an idiot I am. And then Andrzej offers me a third chance, a kayaking trip on the Masurian Lakes. But I can't take off time just like that. It wouldn't be fair to the psychology department, I tell him. This is Poland, Andrzej says. They won't even notice you're missing. But I don't know how to kayak. We'll teach you. But I'm writing this article on Polish Jews. We're Polish Jews. We'll tell you everything you want to know about Polish Jews while we're kayaking on the Masurian Lakes. Okay, I say, finally. 1 week later, I'm back in Warsaw, exhausted. Poles work much harder on their vacations than they do at their jobs. But I return to the psychology department. I am tan and confident and happy I didn't blow this third chance. I'm back at my computer. I'm typing up my memories of the trip when a young woman knocks on the door. She's tall and slender with short red hair and translucent skin. She takes me for a Polish graduate student and says in broken Polish, "I am looking for John." Her name's Mary. She's a graduate student in anthropology back in Chicago. She got my name from a friend of a friend. We go to a cafe and chat over iced coffees. I offer to show her the city. I'm attracted to Mary. She's an unusual combination. She's an academic who likes punk music. She's a great lover of fiction who also reads theory. She hasn't mentioned any special friend. But I don't have much time left here in Poland, and what time I do have, I've reserved to finish that article on Polish Jews. But I would like to see Mary again. The next day, After the tour of the city, we have dinner at a nice restaurant in the Old Town. We share an elegant meal that costs my entire month's salary. Over dinner, Mary tells me about what attracted her to Poland in the first place. It started when she read a novel by Iris Murdoch and fell in love with the pale, romantic Polish character. And then she converted to Catholicism. She speaks German, and that's where her family comes from originally, but Poland is the land she loves. After dinner, we walk along the moonlit streets of the Old Town. The street lamps cast big circles of light on the pastel facades of the reconstructed buildings. We briefly hold hands. And then it's time to take buses to opposite ends of the city. I really want to ask Mary back to my apartment, but I'm nervous. And just that morning, I'd met a Polish-Jewish psychiatrist who offered to bring me to Kazimierz Dolny the very next day. I really had a great time tonight, I say to Mary. She smiles. I'll call you when I get back from Kazimierz Dolny. I forget. She doesn't have a phone in her apartment. And then I reach out and I gently squeeze her upper arm. Why do I do this? It's not a kiss. It's not even a hug. It's what uncles do to nephews. It's what coaches do to kids who strike out. Oh, I get on the bus, I think, Jesus, what a schmuck I am. Strike three, I'm out.
Słucham pana. You ask what I did? So, I throw a pail of water on them. Jesus Maria, what would you do? They are crazy men who climb over the gate of a convent. Normal people don't do that. And this is a Carmelite convent. The nuns, they don't go out. They don't talk to people. They are locked away like jewels. And these men, how do I know what they want? They are dressed in black. They have long beards. Maybe they want to grab the nuns. Maybe they want to rape the nuns. Men are men. They do crazy things. And these men, they look crazy. I work here. We are repairing the roof. I do a lot of work for the convent. They trust me. It say in the Bible, you must never look upon the face of God. And these nuns, they are as close to God as any of us will get in this world. So I turn away my face. The convent, it is located next to the wall of the camp here in Oświęcim, what the Germans called Auschwitz. The nuns, they are here to atone for what happened many years ago. No, I not visit the camp, even though it is a museum now, anybody can go. But I work on the roof here, I can see over the wall, I can see the train tracks, I can see the buildings that are still standing. I can see where all the people were killed. They tell me afterward that these men who climb over the gate, they are Jews from New York City, from America. They don't want a convent here. I don't understand. Prayers are prayers. Atonement is atonement. Yes, I know that 1 million Polish Jews, they die here in the camp. But tens of thousands of Catholics die. Polish Catholics die there too. The Jews, they can say their prayers. Let us say our prayers too. So, I throw the water.
That stopped them. I don't throw stones. I don't get off the roof and fight with them. I see they are hot with passion. So I use water to put out that passion. Afterward, the reporters from Krakow and Warsaw, they ask me questions just like you do. They shine their light in my eyes. They push their microphone in my face. It is all very impolite. And I know what they are thinking, these reporters from Krakow and Warsaw. They are thinking I am only a simple workman. What do I know about Jews and Auschwitz and politics? I am not a professor. But I know one or two things. I know that during the war, my grandparents, they saved 2 little Jewish children, Adam and Eva, bring them up just like their own. And after the war, Adam and Eva, they go to Israel, join their family. This is a secret during the war. It is a secret after the war. But I tell you this secret now. The people in the other countries, Hungary, Ukraine, they collaborate with the Nazis. And we do not. 3 million Polish Jews, they died during the war. But the Jews, they get Israel. 3 million Polish Catholics died during the war. And we lose our country. I know one more thing. Those smart people from Krakow and Warsaw, they stand on the roof, they not know what to do. Throw the water, not throw the water. By the time they make up their mind, it is too late. The fire is burning out of control. Talmud was once published with the same number of pages and the same order of words on the page. In olden times, in Jewish communities in Poland, the Shas Polak knew all 12 volumes by heart. He could recite the entire Talmud word for word, from the beginning to the end, or from the end to the beginning. If you put a pin on the 9th word of the 9th page of the 9th volume, Shas Polak could tell you what that word was. And if you continue to push the pin through the page, the Shas Polak could tell you every word that the pin passed through. Why would anyone want to develop a photographic memory of a text like that? Because of the very real possibility that the text would be destroyed and a scholar would have to recreate the Talmud from memory. In Poland, the Shas Polak became the Talmud long before Fahrenheit 451. A community committed its treasures to memory to save them from the flames. Because of the pogroms of the first decade of the 20th century, my grandparents left Poland and Russia. Before World War I, before the Holocaust, they traveled across Europe to escape poverty and oppression. This history of anti-Semitism is burned into the memory of the diaspora and its sons and daughters and grandchildren. We no longer memorize the Talmud. We memorize the attempts to destroy the Talmud. They're all Jew haters, says my friend Jeff over a dinner of chicken wings and whiskey one night after I've returned from Poland. Jeff, have you ever even been to Poland? Doesn't matter. Jeff, do you know any Poles? Doesn't matter. They've always been that way, always will be. Just look at the history and see what they did to those New York rabbis who went to the church in Auschwitz. Jeff, what about King Kazimierz? What about Auschwitz, pogroms? What more do I have to say?
Who can argue
with Auschwitz and pogroms? But Polish Jews are caught in the middle. They view these tragedies with bifocals. My friend Risha told me Polish society was also occupied and destroyed. So Poles worked the land around Treblinka. What were they going to do? Wander around the countryside and starve to death? Polish Catholics often forget the horrors that Poles visited upon Jews. But American Jews forget the horrors that the Nazis visited upon Polish Catholics. Polish Jews are the Shas Polaks. They remember everything. It's late at night when I get back from Kazimierz Dolny and the Jewish cemetery, and I find a note pinned to my door. It reads, "Dear John, I wanted to ask you back to my apartment last night, but I was scared. I'll be at my apartment tonight if you want to come by. Signed, Mary." I take a shower, I take a taxi, I am there before my hair dries.